What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis, including your money, investing, the stock market, this next stimulus package, the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, which we could see go to a vote here potentially as early as this week. That's right. As Senator Joe Manchin has given his stamp of approval, in fact, he's actually written apparently parts or a lot of this bill. Him and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer have come to agreements with a lot of this bill. And you can let me know your thoughts here on this. This comes as inflation is at a 40-year high right now. And it's just really tough out here right now. Here is Democratic Congressman from California, Ro Khanna, who has been in touch with Senator Joe Manchin on a lot of details of this bill. And here's his thoughts on this. And he kind of gives us kind of the skinny on a lot of the details on this. Check this out. Let me know your thoughts on this.
Congressman Ro Khanna. He's a Democrat from California, specifically representing Silicon Valley. And he's also a member of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. And yes, when you see the list of potential presidential candidates in the future, your name is on it. Congressman, it's good to see you.
Great to be on.
First, I want to start with the Manchin deal. Let me ask, and be honest with me. If this was the deal Manchin agreed to 6 months ago, would you have taken it?
Yes, but not a year ago.
Okay. All right.
Not a year ago. But, look, I was getting criticized from my own party. I started talking with Senator Manchin January 1st. I said on MSNBC, give him the pen. Let's have a smaller deal. Let's take the deal. I was part of his bipartisan group because I said, if we don't have Manchin, we're not going to get a climate.
So you might as well see what the least supportive senator is going to be for.
You might as well see it. And here's what I knew about Senator Manchin. He was going to be for the innovation funding. I had done a tech project in Beckley with him. He was always for the solar, the wind, the battery. He didn't like the sticks. Some of us want the sticks as well. He wanted some permitting reform. But I think he was always negotiating to get a deal.
Are you okay with the fact that apparently one of the promises he was made is permitting reform? It's not going to be in the reconciliation, but it would be a separate bill, which would basically help the fossil fuel industry get over some environmental barriers if necessary.
Well, look, it's not the bill I would have written, but is it on the whole worth taking? Yes, for two reasons. One, it's not just the billions of dollars of spending. It's also the trillions it's going to unleash in the private sector. And that's, I think, what people are underestimating. Silicon Valley, all of the venture capital now is going to go in to clean tech. So maybe we'll have a bubble in this instead of a bubble in cryptocurrency. That is huge. It could be transformative. The second thing on permitting reform is we do need some permitting reform. I mean, there is some solar farms that are not being going through because of permitting. So I'm for sensible permitting reform, lithium-ion processing, let's have that, but not obviously the oil leases and the quid pro quo, but it's part of the deal. It's compromise.
All right, when you host one of your town halls in September, October, talking to your voters, you're on the ballot every 2 years, and a voter asks, hey, how does this bill going to help me right now? What would you say?
It's going to lower prescription drug costs.
And they'll see it this quickly, you think?
I think they'll see it within a month. I mean, not the next day, but yes, it's going to lower prescription drug costs. It's going to help have new jobs in terms of the investment in clean energy. It's going to help make more things in the United States, and that's going to lower costs. I mean, the semiconductor bill, look, there are all these pickup trucks that need a semiconductor chip that aren't out being sold. And if you want to tackle inflation, let's make more stuff in America instead of shipping it from overseas.
I want to ask you about how you talk about this economy. And I say this, that I think there's been a lot of time spent on what to call it. And frankly, I think not enough time spent on sort of empathizing with what the reality is for the average American.
It's a tough economy. Gas prices are up. Food prices are up. There's not baby formula still on the shelves. People are hurting. And you have to start with that. Then you start with, OK, what are we doing? The two things we're doing is we're going to make more things in America. We're not going to be dependent on a supply chain that is in Europe, in Russia, in China. People get that. They're like, yeah, after the pandemic, we need to make more things here. That will bring down prices. And second, we need to take more aggressive action to bring down prices. The president released the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. I've said he should have a ban on exporting oil and move back to what we had prior to 2015. I've said he should have been buying at the dip and selling back at cheap prices. We need to be more aggressive on food and oil prices to bring them down.
Are you worried about a false spike? There's been some, I mean, look, at the end of the day, you want to talk about a political problem, a new spike in gas prices in October, because what could happen with the oil markets internationally could be a problem. I think people are trying to foresee this and try to do something about it. How concerned are you that we're not on top of this?
I mean, I wrote a New York Times op-ed talking about preemptive buying. They dismissed the idea. I said, let's be buying the oil when it's at a cheaper price so that we can sell it back at a subsidized price. We've done this before. Now, if you have the European sanctions go into place and you have a price spike and it happens to be in October, that's going to be a big, big issue. It's going to outweigh all the good things we've done. So I think we have to be aggressive, either ban the export of oil, go after the...
What about the gas tax holiday that he proposed? I mean, I know wasn't a huge fan, but I've also wondered, where did it go?
Well, I don't think that's the answer, because I don't think the answer is to drain the public treasury. I would rather do the windfall profits tax. I mean, just today, Exxon and Chevron making record profits of this war. Why not tax them and put $300 in the pockets of every American?
I want to ask you about some House business, the assault weapons ban. I had somebody ask me this, a local reporter asked me this earlier today. Why is the House trying to pass something that has no chance of going into the Senate? And I said, it's a fair question. So let me ask you, member of Congress, why are you guys passing something that you know can't pass this Congress?
Well, we would pass almost nothing if the bar was what would pass the Senate.
But why on this? Why do you think this is important? Why is this message important?
Well, this is, I mean, after the massacres we've seen, after the mass shootings we've seen, you talk to young people in my district, they care about two things, climate and guns. They're traumatized by it. They want to see their representatives doing something. And Chuck, you've been in Washington long enough to know you pass things over and over again. You pass them in the House. Eventually, they move. So this builds the political support. I mean, look, in the 6 years I've been in Congress, we haven't had the votes to pass an assault weapons ban.
So the fact that you guys are going to be able to do this with your own party, in your mind, is a step.
It's a huge step. I mean, there's now more of a consensus, at least among Democrats, to pass this. That's progress from 6 years. Now we have to get the Senate.
Is the 2024 talk on the Democratic side a good thing or a bad thing for the party?
It's neither here nor there, but I think here's what the reality is. Joe Biden is the incumbent president. You support the incumbent president of your own party.
You're going to support the incumbent president if he runs for re-election.
I am.
Hard stop, right?
I am, yes.
Okay.
And I mean, the other speculation, my view is that Joe Biden should start talking about the accomplishments, about the economy, tune out all the other noise. They're just helping build our profiles.
All right. You're going to support him. Should he run again?
That's up to him and his family.
You must have an opinion.
My view is that he beat Donald Trump. No one else beat Donald Trump. I still think Donald Trump is the most formidable candidate against us, and he has the judgment to make that decision. Here's what I do believe about Joe Biden. I don't think he would put the country or the party through this if he really thought there was someone else who had a better shot at beating Donald Trump. That's a judgment he's going to have to make, and he's entitled to make it since he's the only one who's ever done that.
Yeah, interesting thought there. Do you think President Joe Biden should run again here in 2 years? Do you think he will run again in 2 years? Do you think that we will see a rematch of Biden versus Trump? All these questions are interesting here. What do you think the odds are that we won't see either of them run? Yeah, because we've seen a lot of recent polling here that a majority of Americans, including Republicans and Democrats, don't want to see either of them run with the way the economy is and with the January 6th incidences, with Trump. So we've seen problems with both of them here, and yeah, you can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. A lot of people want to see new blood in there, including in Congress and in the Supreme Court. So yeah, and we also have a bill introduced here in Congress that would introduce term limits for the Supreme Court that would have 18-year limits to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is really the only place where there's really no type of limits at all in any form, because at least in Congress, you get to vote on and the presidency, in the presidency, you actually have limits and you get to vote on them. So they have the two-term limits in the presidency, and you get to vote on them every 4 years. Okay, in the House of Representatives, they come up every 2 years. You think of people like Nancy Pelosi. She's been in Congress for a long time, but she wins every 2 years. So every 2 years, everybody in the House of Representatives comes up for reelection. You get to vote on them. You could vote them out if you want to. You think of Mitch McConnell in the Senate. He's been in there a long time. A lot of senators have been in there a long time, actually. And, Mitch McConnell from the Republican side, he just won his reelection campaign 2 years ago. And senators serve 6-year terms, so they serve much longer than House of Representatives. But again, at least you get to vote on them in the House and the Senate. So if you don't like the job any one particular congressman in the House or senator in the Senate is doing, you have the chance to vote on them and vote them out. But in the Supreme Court, you don't have the chance to vote anybody out. So if you're not happy with anybody from the Supreme Court or the Supreme Court as a whole or anything at all, you cannot vote them out. So there's no term limits and you can't vote them out. So that does kind of present a problem with the Supreme Court. Now, remember, the Supreme Court, it has a Republican majority now, but it wasn't that long ago that there was a Democrat majority. And remember that this switches all the time. I mean, not super often, but it does switch. Okay, and they pass away, they die, or they retire, but they do serve kind of long terms there. But just like Congress, Congress switches too. It goes from Democrats to Republican majorities, pretty much the same thing. But at least in Congress, I know a lot of people want term limits in Congress. I kind of do too. But at least you get the opportunity to vote on them. We have a midterm elections coming on. In 2 more years, we'll have another presidential election coming on. We have governor elections coming up. You get to vote on your governor. You get to vote on your state elections. You get to vote. You get the opportunity. With the Supreme Court, you don't get any opportunity. It's actually one of the worst systems we have. Again, whether you're a Democrat or Republican or whatever, because again, that changes. If you're I'm 41 years old, if you're 51 years old, 61, 71, the Supreme Court has changed multiple times from Democrat to Republican majorities throughout the years. But you didn't get a chance to vote on them not a single time. That's a severe problem with our system, in my opinion. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments, but there is a bill that has been introduced to have an 18-year term. The problem here, again, we're seeing this over and over and over and over on a lot of bills right now. Is that, and we'll have to see if it changes after the election. Who knows what's going to happen after the election, because we'll have to see what the makeup is of Congress, what the House, who controls the House, who controls the Senate. Um, the presidency will still be a Democrat. It'll still be Biden, and we'll have to see what happens with the House and Senate. But um, you know, we'll have to see. But the Supreme Court, there's nothing you can't change at all. There's no voting at all. Yeah. But after the midterm elections, we'll have to see if Democrats and Republicans maybe start coming together more on some more issues. Because right now we're seeing a lot of bills where Republicans are just voting no on everything. And, I'm trying to be neutral. These are really just facts. They're not opinions or anything like that. Because you're seeing a lot of bills where just Republicans are just voting no on pretty much everything. We're seeing a lot of, even Republicans themselves are saying they don't want to give any wins more than they need to, I guess, before the elections. This is presented a problem with our political system even more so than it is. Maybe after the election, again, we'll have to see what the makeup is of the House and Senate. If it's Democrat, if it's Republican, if it's a mixed system, like we were 2 years ago. Um, Maybe we'll get more done or less done. Who knows, right? Yeah, but you can see this headline here. President Biden says the U.S. is on the right track despite the latest GDP decline. Yeah. So I don't know. It's a tough situation because, we were kind of coming out of the pandemic in terms of economic recovery, but then now this inflation has really hit. And now we've had two quarters, basically this whole year of GDP decline and inflation um, spiking up. So yeah, it's kind of like looking through it through rose colored glasses. Um, yeah, yeah. Three reasons why the 2022 recession would be like no other. Well, really, it's because number one is that unemployment is really, really low. If I can show you this here. Yeah, the labor market is really robust. Yeah, in most recessions, economic output and unemployment decline simultaneously, but we're not seeing that this time. In fact, jobs are actually, uh, for lack of a better word, really robust. But a lot of people are really struggling because of inflation, high gas prices, high food prices, and high prices on a lot of things homes, cars, almost everything. Yeah, take a look.
For Jamie Rickliffs, it has become a twice-a-week ritual, selling her plasma.
Originally, the plasma was just like a safety net, and now it's becoming more of a necessity.
Her family's two-income household is struggling to keep up with runaway inflation, and they're far from alone. Two-thirds of Americans are blowing through their savings because of sky-high prices.
We should be middle class, and we should have a nice savings, but everything's going up.
Workers' wages have increased, but not at the same pace as historic levels of inflation. New numbers today show a key gauge for prices we pay up 6.8% year over year, the steepest spike since 1982.
What's the bottom line from this week? Buckle up and get ready.
Melissa Bradley is a venture capitalist and says small businesses have witnessed recession warning signs for months.
We see it every day in our receipts, and we need to really figure out how to make some changes.
Markets, meanwhile, rose for the week, the Dow up nearly 1,000 points. Buoyed today by oil giants Exxon and Chevron reporting record second quarter profits, thanks in part to what have been record high gas prices. Consumers now finding some relief in falling gas prices down 76 cents a gallon from their peak and job security. Nationwide, the unemployment rate sits at near 50-year lows. In Marion County, Iowa, it's practically non-existent.
Do you feel like you're at risk of being out of work if we move into a recession?
At the moment, no, just because there's such a high demand and we've already got so many orders already in.
Americans navigating a dizzying economy. The demand for labor high, but prices even higher.
The number two anomaly in this recession is companies are cash rich right now. Corporations normally see a decline in sales and earnings during recessions. That process may have or already has started. However, U.S. corporations are sustaining profits and are sitting on immense cash hoards going into this recession. The average U.S. corporation's after tax profit margin is around 16% right now. In traditional recessions, this rate drops down to single digits. Meanwhile, these corporations are collectively sitting on over $4 trillion in cash. That's record levels and highly unusual for a recessionary environment. Companies may have raised these funds during the era of easy money and low interest rates over the past decade. Now, this cash is acting as a buffer and could allow companies to retain staff despite the economic slowdown. And now rates are rising. And the third anomaly is normally in recessions, the central bank cuts interest rates and adds more money to the economy to stabilize it. In this one, the Fed is raising interest rates to curb inflation. Yeah, so this could be dangerous. Considering the strength of the job market and corporate balance sheets, the central bank may have more reason to keep raising rates. Yeah, so normally when we're in a recession, going into a recession, the Fed would lower interest rates and really pump money or pump stimulus checks and stimulus bond buying stimulus, things like that. Remember in the past, in 2001 and 2008, 2009, we actually seen previous stimulus checks by previous administrations. They were lower amounts though, because back then the cost of money, the cost of everything was cheaper. But the government would put money into the economy and lower interest rates to help out the economy. But in this case, inflation is really high, and they're trying to curb inflation by raising interest rates. But we do have like 20 different states that are sending out stimulus checks, tax rebate checks, and all these different things. We have seen 3 stimulus checks already from the from the government. Kind of almost the same thing, not quite. From the government, so stimulus checks. We've seen child tax credits. We've seen unemployment bonuses. We've seen paycheck protection programs, and we've seen all these different kind of things. SNAP bonuses, all sorts of different things. We've seen the student loan payments pause for almost 2 years, over 2 years now. We're possibly or probably going to see student loan forgiveness, um, maybe $10,000 of that. We've actually seen several $billion of student loan forgiveness for people that have been defrauded by schools in the public service student loan forgiveness program, people with disabilities as well. So there's been all that's done here as well. So we have had a lot of different stimulus programs and stuff on all those different levels. But now we're going into a new recession, mostly because of inflation. So, what will happen going forward here as well? Yeah, so let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I will keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. So make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, make sure to click the bell icon down below so you get notifications and don't miss out on any new videos. You can click here to watch my newest video next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.